There've been rumors of a Steven Universe reboot, but considering most of the show's conflicts seem to have been resolved, what could the possible plot lines be, and who are the probable antagonists? Since we left off at Steven moving out to be on his own, the reboot would likely touch on his navigation through the trials of adulthood, like learning how to file his tax returns.
Hide the money, y'all! There's poor people around!
From vengeful gems to alien invasion, there are a number of possible scenarios to explore for the Steven Universe reboot, so grab your popcorn and get a comfortable seat. For starters, the antagonists could be an entire alien race. The Diamonds were ruthless conquerors who colonized many worlds in order to expand the Gem Empire. They were essentially parasites on steroids, sucking the life out of every planet they encountered. Their destructive reach was universal, sometimes taking over entire solar systems. They had a disdain for organic life. Pink was the exception. Safe to assume their exploits didn't go without some casualties. There may be other sentient life forms out for revenge against gems, seeking retribution for the destruction of their homes and maybe even the death of their loved ones. I'm curious to see what an all-out war between gems and other alien races would look like. While it's true that gems are an extremely formidable race, I've noticed that a significant percentage of their weapons and abilities are mostly effective against fellow gems. For instance, the effect of the Rejuvenator dampened with Steven, considering he didn't lose his memory. He did get his abilities siphoned, but that was because of his gem half. Blue Diamond's aura of sadness had no effect on humans. White Diamond could only control gems. When White Diamond attacks, she specifically aims for the gem of her target. In the Jailbreak episode, the crystal gems were able to escape because the cells they were trapped in had no significant effect on Steven. That being said, gem armies are still capable of dealing a heavy blow, as there are a lot more gems whose abilities have effects that aren't secluded to gems alone. The weapons they are able to summon from their gems don't discriminate. Imagine what an army of fusion gems would bring to the battlefield. But who knows, there may be aliens out there with more advanced tech than gems. We see from the show that all gems are essentially technology. Each gem is programmed to carry out a particular function. The diamonds are gems as well, so who programmed them? We could be introduced to a new species, the ones behind the origin of gems, finally showing their faces after noticing the system of gem activity they established has been dismantled. The show would explore a new threat of invasion, but this time not from the Diamonds. The Diamonds disbanded their colonies and seem to have turned a new leaf. But if we've learnt anything from the mind control scene between Steven and White Diamond, it's that being apologetic and having a musical about how much you've changed doesn't instantly wipe away the trauma the victim faced. Imagine how traumatic it was for the cluster gems, watching their comrades get shattered and forced into a permafusion. Events like that don't just go away. I imagine some of the corrupted gems may secretly feel resentment towards the Diamonds after having a part of their lives taken away. This is similar to what happened to Spinel, and we saw how that turned out. Remember how the original rebellion was formed? It started as a few gems who went against the grain. They defected from their roles because they had a shared vision, one brought to them by Rose Quartz. They sought to decide their own fates, not being confined to what they were programmed for. Similarly, a new generation of rebels may arise, ones with contrasting motives with the rebels of Era 1. The former rebels sought to dismantle the Gem Empire and liberate gems from what they perceived to be bondage, but the new era of rebels would aim at re-establishing the Diamond Rule, putting back in place the hierarchical order of things and reassigning gems to their inborn roles. If there's one thing we know about gems, it's that they are made with a purpose. They are designed to carry out a specific function and expected to continue in it throughout the span of their lives.
When a gem is made, it's for a reason. They burst out of the ground already knowing what they're supposed to be, and then that's what they are. Forever.
Even the liberated gems attending little homeschools still found a way to carry out very similar variants of the jobs they once had on Homeworld. The Rubies were the mayor's bodyguards. Larimar and Snowflake Obsidian still stuck to ice-related jobs.
It's just like we used to do on Homeworld! Thanks, Amethyst!
I'm not saying it's not possible to beat their programming, but it's fair to say it's rather difficult to overcome. I mean, just look at what it took for Pearl to be free from hers. You can see why there are a number of gems who are truly against this change. Imagine having your entire worldview changed in an instant, having everything you've worked for not matter anymore in the blink of an eye.
An era ago, there were 2 gems celebrated for taking down Homeworld's greatest traitor. But then they were cast out, forgotten, when the traitor duped all of Homeworld into loving him instead.
Jasper continued training even when there was nothing left to train for, probably as a coping mechanism. The Lapises Steven and Lapis encountered had no reason to continue terraforming, but they did so anyways.
Dang, girl.
There's a conversation between Ruby and Sapphire that really stuck with me.
I have to get you back up there! They were gonna break you. Who cares? There's tons of me!
Ruby had no value for her life. Due to her programming, she was willing to risk it all for the gem she was assigned to protect. A few gems have already been set up to form the first few members of the new rebellion. Gems like Ruby and Aquamarine. There may be more gems with similar sentiment. There hasn't been a better time for the rebels to strike, as gem security is weaker than ever, considering most gems have defected from their roles.
I'd give anything for an order from the Diamonds, but all they talk about is Steven, Steven, Steven. Steven!
Hi, Holly. Bye, Holly.
Not to mention White Diamond is literally giving gems a free pass into her mind. The rebels can easily use White Diamond as a vessel in achieving their goals. I believe rejuvenators would play a major role in the rebel uprising, making it easier to reset gems to their base state. I wonder if a rejuvenator would work on one of the diamonds. What would the aftermath look like? The message explaining the change in the dynamic of gem kind was broadcast across the universe, but I can't help but feel there are some colonies that haven't adhered to this change and still operate under the pre-existing diamond rule. This could be a possible episode for Lars and his compatriots, spanning the crevices of the galaxy to ensure a true end to destructive gem activities. Something I would really want to see from the reboot is an in-depth look into the lives of the gems while Rose was still around. There's so much that can be shown. For starters, how their original fusions looked. Fusions like the original Smoky Quartz or the Temple fusion. I'd love to see the subtle differences in their style and personality. The differences may in fact not be so subtle. Using Garnet as a case study, we can see just how much a fusion can change. There was a dramatic change in both her color palette and personality. The first time we see her, she's this timid fusion who is unsure of herself. Then she transitions into this badass combat machine who seems to know exactly what to do.
Yes, the children are playing swords. Sorry, playing with swords. They're bleeding. Oh no, they are dead.
Okay, Garnet, you just drew yourself.
I like me.
Well, most of the time. Fusion aside, I would also want to see their normal everyday lives, their more laid-back adventures. We may even get to see what Rose locked away in that chest. I really enjoyed the flashback episodes where we had Saucy Pearl, Bad Boy Greg, and extremely chaotic Amethyst. We could get even further flashbacks that depict them during the height of the Gem War. We could see the strategies they put in place, how they dealt with the loss of their comrades, or even the discovery of Beach City. Watching Marvel's What If gave me an idea of possible plot lines. Marvel's What If is an animated series that explores alternate realities within the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Each episode presents a different scenario that diverges from the established MCU timeline, showcasing how events might have unfolded differently. An episode can be dedicated to exploring different what-ifs within the Steven Universe timeline. For instance, what if Pink Diamond was never given a colony? Or what if Steven was actually Nora?
Nora, we can't both exist. But I won't be gone. I'm going to become half of you.
Adventure Time did something similar with the introduction of Fiona and Cake. Even the Amazing World of Gumball did this in an episode where Nicole questioned what her life would look like if she had done things differently. If the show does return, I'd hope they don't shy away from exploring more mature themes. One of the more disappointing things in the original series was how quickly White Diamond became good. Granted, the show was short on runtime, but the way it happened seemed very rushed. It didn't make a lot of sense to me, but that's just my opinion. Would you want a Steven Universe reboot, or are you satisfied with the way things left off? Remember to like and subscribe for more videos like this. Share the video and turn on post notifications so you don't miss a post.